We just enjoy what we have.
Louise Burkhalter is legally blind
I love all the old-fashioned flowers in there.
and can still see the promise
Those are the tall zinnias, and these are the small zinnias.
of color, beauty, of life
We usually have a lot of butterflies.
in a perennial.
My favorite flower, I think, is the Shasta daisies, which is over there.
A garden of experience with deep-rooted stories
This November, what will it be? I think I'll be 108, so it's been around for a while.
Louise is a walking bloom, a resilient perennial.
I've never known anyone as old as I am. So, but I'm thankful, you know. I've had a, you know, I guess you would say a quiet life.
Quiet is relative. Louise has lived through 2 world wars, a Great Depression, civil rights movements, and 2 life-altering pandemics.
Yeah.
And yet, while time can dim the eyes, the hands, her memory, it's a book of brilliance.
I remember my oldest brother, I remember when he was in World War I, I remember seeing him come home. I could see his hat walking down the road, from the road. A bus had probably dropped him off, and then he was walking home, and he was coming from World War I. He had been gassed, and so, he was home a little early.
World War II, life had changed. Louise was in love and married.
It was very hard. World War II, it was very hard.
Through a Great Depression, a World War, and a move that brought her family from home in Tampa to Michigan, Louise began to grow those roots.
I was happy and sad. I was happy that it ended and sad that so much had happened. And I know we survived it. It wasn't good, but we survived it and went on and, had a good life. Busy life.
On a farm in Harrison, her and Carl raised 3 girls, all 3 still alive. She lost Carl 23 years ago, after 65 years married.
He was just a good person, a good, hard-working person.
Today, this is where you'll find Louise, in a garage that's been converted into a place to gather now that walking has become a bit more difficult. And it's in here that you'll find perhaps her only 2 secrets to 108 years, contentment and that daily, unspoken gin and tonic.
If I'd have known that a gin and tonic was going to do that much, I would have started a long time ago.
There are secrets that will remain undiscovered to Louise's longevity, but it's the hard moments in a long life where she really learned to live.
I think one of the difficult times in my life is when I lost my mother. I was just 13 then. My mother had tuberculosis, and in those days there was no help. No cure. There was help, but no cure. So when she passed away, I think my mother was only 40, I think she was 43, so she was young.
Louise outlived her mother by 65 years, long enough to see a TB cure and a second major pandemic, the first, the Spanish flu.
I do remember very well about it. I thought my room was on fire. I had a fever. And when my fever broke, my mother was sitting by my bed in a rocking chair, and she was holding me. And I remember my room being on fire, and I was fighting, to get out of the room.
She was 5 then. 102 years later,
I can tell you right now, we're going through one of those times.
she sees it again.
I'm older now, and I know more about what's going on now than I did when I was just a child.
Through eyes worn by time,
There's no need of fretting about it.
but blossoming in wisdom.
We just have to be careful and not do a lot of things that we're used to doing, and we'll get through it okay.
For News 8, I'm Casey Jones on your corner.